Federation Accounts Allocation Committee shared 574.668 billion naira. Nigeria to rebase GDP by end of 2022, says the National Bureau of Statistics. Plus, Russia-Ukraine crisis take toll on global markets. Today on the program, we would be counting the cost of war. Business Express is coming to you on the network service of the NTA, and I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us on the business side of life. And we'll start by telling you that the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAC, has shared a total of 574.668 billion naira January 2022 Federation account revenue to the federal government, states, and the local government councils. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of a virtual FAC meeting for February 2022. Henshaw Ogbudike, Director Information, Press and Public Relations Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, in a statement said the total distributable revenue comprised distributable statutory revenue of 291.4 billion naira, value-added tax revenue of 178.066 billion naira, and exchange gain of 5.202 billion naira, as well as non-mineral revenue of 100 billion naira. According to the communique, in the month of January 2022, companies' income tax, petroleum profit tax, and the oil and gas royalties decreased significantly, while the value-added tax, the import and excise duties decreased marginally. The balance in the excess crude account was $35.368 million. Next, let's take a look at the commodities. A lot has happened in the last 48 hours as reports coming from Ukraine don't sound good. But then, what are the implications for the global economy that is still grappling with the effects of the coronavirus pandemic? Now, in this short period, the markets have tumbled as they danced to the drums of war. How will this be affecting me, you, the country, and the entire world as we count the cost of war? I have joining me from our Kaduna studio, Dr. Eugene Obiora. He is a Doctor of Conflict Studies and Associate Professor, Department of History and War Studies at the Nigerian Defense Academy. Nice to have you join us on the program this afternoon, Doctor. With me?
Thank you.
Doctor, a lot is happening between Russia and Ukraine. It's been from one attack to the other, and the other countries concerned are actually reacting to this through sanctions. What does this conflict mean to the world, and can it affect the local economy here?
Thank you very much for that question. The world is a global village, at least since the evolution of modern governance and the evolution of modern system of states. You discover that no nation is an island, especially economically. Nations have come together and have what you refer to as integrated global economic system and financial system as well. So right now we are having this problem in Ukraine, which was triggered off by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. You discover that the monetary relationship between the West and then Russia is getting sour because the Americans, the West led by the Americans, are trying to impose economic sanction. In fact, they've done it already. They've done the first and second stages. And the whole thing is targeted against Russia's economy and financial transactions globally within the global financial system. And when these things happen, there is a kind of effect it has on global economy. Already, the oil price has gone up from 90-something to over $100 a barrel just because of this crisis. And then the West is imposing restriction on the oil gas pipeline leading from Russia to Germany. I think it's been stalled, so to say. And again, you discover that because no nation is an island, Ukraine itself that is being invaded has different nationals, students, businessmen, residents, or tourists there. So the whole thing is not restricted to Ukraine. The world is on a keg of gunpowder. Because what we are seeing in Ukraine now is a resurgence of Cold War period of politics between the American-led West and the former Soviet-led East. Putin said he doesn't want NATO to have a common boundary with a NATO country. But even if it invades and annexes Ukraine, Ukraine has boundary with Poland, and Poland is a NATO country. So the problem has not been solved. But let me say this for the benefit of everybody. The problem we're having in the world today is because of power vacuum at the central level, where there is no centralized sanctioning authority on nation states that violate international law. Without any law or rule, no society can organize itself, whether you are doing business or doing politics or anything. And when you look at recently, for over time now, it is the big powers that are violating these laws. Putin is doing this to Ukraine. China is bulldozing the junior countries in the South China Sea. And sometime we had a situation where, I think it was during Bush's presidency, when a sitting head of state in Panama was kidnapped and taken to America, tried and jailed there. It shows lawlessness, and the Headley Bull and other realist theories have said it, that the global system of governance is anarchical, purely anarchical. And when you have an anarchic situation, the economy of the system is always very, very volatile. The financial institutions are always threatened. Once there is any crisis anywhere, it has corollary effect, immediately, direct effect. So this is the problem we're having. So let us not look at Ukraine's invasion, Russian invasion of Ukraine as a Russia-Ukraine problem. It is a global problem. Already the EU and the West are imposing sanctions. Nigerians have their national...
Dr. Obiora, yes, the sanctions are on, and it's not just Dr. Obiora, the sanctions are on, and it's not just about the Russian government, but it has extended to even individuals who have relationship with Russia. Talking about people who are having businesses in Russia, they are also being sanctioned. As at present, Russia has shut its airspace from all other Western countries. Then the UEFA Champions League right, which was supposed to be Russia's, talking about the finals, has been taken to France. How far is this going to affect trade on the general notes as well as bilateral relations? Because it's not just about Russia now, it's any relationship to do with Russia.
I think, as I said earlier, the world is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Economic relations since the COVID evolved has not been very good. It has affected a lot of economies, big powers, medium powers, small powers, superpowers, microstates and dependencies. No country did. Every country witnessed the problem of COVID-19. Now, this Russian problem has come in. So we are going to see a situation where the only predictable thing about the global economy and the financial system of the world is that it is predictably unpredictable, because we don't know the shape. It is the end result of this crisis that will determine what the economy and financial situations will be. Yes, some oligarchs in Russia have been sanctioned by the West, but that is not the end of the story. You don't know the strategy of Putin, what he has been planning, whether this thing, he has been planning it for a very long time. Maybe he has kept a lot of reserve to cushion the effect of Western sanctions on it, so that even when you are sanctioning them, they still survive. But as I said, the only thing we can predict about this Russia invasion of Ukraine is that the ultimate consequence will be unpredictable because of the other aspect. Remember, Russia is a nuclear power. America is a nuclear power too. And then the NATO countries are trying to create a wedge in the east, so that what is happening in Ukraine will not spill over to Poland or the other new NATO members who were all previously under the Soviet destiny during the Cold War. So in terms of, we can predict everything, but we cannot predict, because prices of oil is going up, gas is going to be cut off, and is going to affect not only the big powers, small powers, including Nigeria also, because it's going to bring a drastic effect on the increase in price. And then that is it.
Okay, Dr. Obiora, are there any gains for Africa, or is all about the losses?
The gains are, we can call it gains, but it is a gain with some problematics. And I say so because oil prices will rise. Our country, Nigeria, may likely benefit. But the fact is that we have to pray that this crisis does not get prolonged and spill over from Ukraine into an East, a Russian, NATO conflict that will create more problems which we cannot predict. I've said it. The only thing we can predict now is that the ultimate result is unpredictable, and that is what we can predict. We can gain. Some oil-producing countries will gain. When oil prices rises, those oil-producing countries will rise. But remember that we are related, even within OPEC. We relate with other countries within OPEC and outside OPEC. And Nigeria has diplomatic relations with all member states of the United Nations. So when you talk of gain, the gain is just a kind of momentary gain whose ultimate profit may not be quantified until the dust settles. And unless the dust settles, we will not know what will be the ultimate consequence, economically, financially, for states in the world as a globe and individual nations.
The unpredictability of this particular war on its effects at the end of the day, can we project into how possible the repair process will be like? Any predictions from your end?
The United Nations cannot, in fact, people don't know, we cannot categorize what the UN is, because the world has no central sanctioning authority. Therefore, nation states, especially the powerful ones, take laws into their hand and do whatever they want with impunity and get away with it. So I see a situation where unless Putin changes course, this thing will lead to greater conflagration. That is my position. Because if you hindsight into history, we tell you, Hitler violated Polish corridor in 1939, saying that nothing will happen. Before he knew it, alliance was built against him, and that the Second World War started. Putin annexed Crimea, 2014. Now it has annexed eastern Ukraine and is invading Ukraine with the possibility of annexing the entire country. So when you see these things happening, it means there is lawlessness in the international system, and it's going to affect not only these big powers or European powers, but we in the third world that are economically and financially linked to the global economy and the global financial system. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Obiora. As we look forward to resolutions of all this crisis to avoid escalation, let's also be hopeful that it will not affect us the much that is being predicted.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority have inaugurated a joint task force committee to look into the recent increase in airfare. Reports shows that the meeting reassures that striking the balance of safety and comfort of passengers is key.
These are really serious issues, and working with you, we believe one day at a time we can address these issues for the benefit of Nigerians. And I'm not even sure we have an option, because the reality is that when we do not succeed, it's the equivalent of hardship to citizens.
And for the aviation regulator,
we'll work together to see how we get this fine balance. Traveling public get what they deserve for the fares they pay. They get the service in a very good manner. They get first-class service, and also the airlines and the other service providers with the industry also are able to survive and provide these services. There are many challenges we have. There are many difficulties we have. The demand for air transport in Nigeria has increased significantly.
The National Bureau of Statistics has unveiled its corporate strategy 2022 to 2025.
And then again, the area of stakeholder advocacy. The next area is the area of information technology, and then the area of data dissemination. So the belief is that if all these priority areas are well implemented and meticulously organized, certainly we'll be able to take not just the Bureau, but the entire ecosystem in Nigeria to a loftier height.
Future focused and planning for post-COVID economy recovery and sustainability are some of the major aspects considered by experts as solution for speedy revamping of the economy. Bossede Abel reports that professionals from various financial institutions, stakeholders and industry players x-rayed the need for skills development that are crucial for the future.
What has become paramount in the fourth revolution of work is skill development, and that's something we're committed to.
We also have to give a lot of focus and a resource into developing our human capacity, because that is where we're going to be able to make the difference in the world.
New way of management that can assist you to make sure your business is also nimble, to be able to respond to uncertainty and changes we find around us.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Pension Operators Association of Nigeria, Ugochi Aguda, has called for more awareness creation to bring the informal sector into the Nigeria's micro-pension plan. This, he says, is to ensure Nigerians have something to fall back when they are old. The PENOP CEO spoke virtually at an event of the Pension Correspondents Association of Nigeria, which took place in Abuja on Thursday, making his submissions on the relevance of contributory pension scheme in 21st century. He said Nigeria has about 60% citizens in the informal sector that have not enrolled into the contributory pension scheme and do not have any retirement plan at all. He urged the association to keep the advocacy drive in the pension sector and complement the efforts of the operators and regulator to ensure a safe and transparent pension sector. Earlier in her remarks, President of PENCAN, Nana Musa, highlighted the relevance of media participation in awareness creation in the pension industry. Oil prices slipped on Friday after sharp rises in the session on concern over potential global supply disruptions from sanctions on major crude exporter Russia. The April Brent crude futures contract was down $1.05 to $97.90 a barrel after climbing to as high as $101.99. The more active May contracts led 93 cents to $94.48. US West Texas Intermediate crude futures was down 76 cents to $92.05 a barrel after hitting a session high of $95.64. Russia's invasion of Ukraine on Thursday caused prices to surge above $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014, with Brent touching $105 before rising gains by the close of trade. And now, at the close of trade this Friday, the Nigerian stock market sustained growth despite tensions in Europe to see the oil share index rise to 47,328.42 basis points. Equity capitalization closed the week at 25.5 trillion naira. 253 million shares worth 2.754 billion naira were traded in 4,266 deals. FCMB, Transcab and UBA were the most active stocks at the end of the day. And now, Global Market Update is next with Neka Oko.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. European stocks rose on Friday following Wall Street's dramatic late rally as investors welcomed coordinated Western sanctions against Russia that targeted its banks but left its energy sector largely untouched. The DAX was up around 0.21%, London's FTSE climbed 1.23%, and CAC 40 of France rose 0.64%. For Asian markets, it was mixed trading on Friday, with investors assessing the Russia-Ukraine conflict following a massive comeback on Wall Street overnight. Japan's Nikkei 225 was up 1.95% at 26,476.50. The Shanghai Composite in mainland China also rose 0.63%, while Hong Kong Hang Seng Index declined 0.59%. U.S. stock futures fell in early trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped 359 points, S&P 500 dipped 1.18%, and Nasdaq 100 slipped 1.26%. African markets also slipped in early deals on Friday, with nearly all stocks in negative territory. Kenya's Nairobi oil share led declines, plunging 3.62%, while Namibia's overall index posted gain of 0.09%. And that's Global Markets Review. I am Neka Oko.
Thank you, Neka. And Business Express returns on Monday. I am Benny Adams saying enjoy your weekend and stay safe.